Video is on Is Your Mind Disciplined? Let us dive right in. Hey, what's up? I'm Dr. TJ, a surgeon who graduated from Harvard. This channel is all about you. Picture this, a freezing, unheated laboratory. A person stirring a boiling mass with an iron rod nearly as tall as they are. Hands blistered, clothes stained with acid burns. Years passing. 4 years of back-breaking work for what most people would call nothing. But here's what nobody tells you about discipline. It's not about motivation. It's not about passion. It's about doing the impossible when every rational voice in your head screams, quit. Today, I'm telling you a story about someone who changed the world forever. Someone you absolutely know. But I'm not revealing the name until the very end of this video. And when I do, everything you think you know about mental discipline will transform. But listen carefully. If you want to discover the secret to unbreakable mental discipline, hit that like button right now. Smash subscribe, and it costs you nothing. It is free. Also turn on notifications because this is the kind of content that will literally change how you approach every challenge in your life. This story builds from beginning to end. Every minute matters. Skip ahead and you'll miss the breakthrough moment that ties everything together. And here's the thing. When this story completely reshapes how you see what's possible, don't keep it to yourself. Share this video with someone who needs it. That friend who's doubting themselves. That family member who's ready to quit. That colleague who's struggling. Send it to them. This message is too powerful to keep to yourself. Ready? Let's begin. Our story begins in 1891 in Paris, France. A young lady just 24 years old arrives in this city of lights with almost nothing. We are talking about a tiny attic room, brutal winters, barely enough money for food. Meals? Bread and tea, sometimes just bread. Heat? A luxury she couldn't afford. But here's what she did have: an absolutely obsessed mind. While other students were socializing, attending parties, living the Parisian dream at the Sorbonne, she was at the library before dawn, studying physics, studying mathematics, taking notes by candlelight because she couldn't always afford lamp oil. Here's the discipline part most people miss. She didn't study when she felt like it. She studied when she was exhausted, when she was freezing, when she was hungry. Her mind was trained to override the body's complaints. And it paid off. Top of the class in physics. Academic brilliance recognized by everyone. And then love, a partnership with another brilliant scientist. Two minds united by the same obsession, understanding the invisible forces of nature. In 1895, they married and became laboratory partners. Together, they set up a workspace. Nothing fancy. We're talking a converted shed at the School of Physics and Chemistry, barely weatherproof, with basic equipment, damp, cold, primitive. But they did not need luxury. They needed purpose. Their early work was groundbreaking. They began studying mysterious rays that certain materials emitted, something another scientist had discovered but could not explain. Our protagonist became obsessed with understanding why these materials radiated energy. Imagine every single day arriving at that freezing laboratory, running experiments, taking meticulous notes, never cutting corners, never saying good enough. As the great Thomas Edison once said, genius is 1% inspiration and 99% perspiration, end quote. And this person, she was about to prove that, quote, in ways Edison himself couldn't imagine. Early success came. In 1898, they announced the discovery of two new elements, polonium and radium. Recognition from the scientific community, published papers, growing reputation. Everything was cruising smoothly. The work was hard, yes, but they were together, two brilliant minds, deeply in love, pursuing the secrets of the universe side by side. But then on April 19, 1906, everything shattered. Her partner, her collaborator, her love was crossing a rainy Paris street called Rue Dauphine when a horse-drawn wagon struck him. The wheel ran over his head. Death was instant, and this is where our story takes a dark turn. Imagine this: the person you love, your intellectual equal, your laboratory partner, gone in an instant on a rainy street. Most people would break. Most people would quit. The grief alone would be crushing. But here's where disciplined minds separate from everyone else. They don't ask, can I continue? They ask, what must be done? Our protagonist made a choice, a terrifying choice. Instead of abandoning the work, she decided to double down, alone, with two young daughters to raise. The university offered her her late partner's professorship, the first time a woman would hold such a position. She accepted, teaching full-time, raising children alone, and continuing the laboratory work. But here's the truly insane part. The radium they discovered, they'd only detected it. They hadn't isolated it in its pure form. Nobody had. Therefore, she decided to do it herself. Here's what that looked like. Picture a country yard with a shed. Inside, enormous piles of pitch blende, the mineral residue left over from uranium extraction. About 8 tons of it. And here's the task. Process this mineral ton by ton to extract pure radium. We are talking about stirring massive boiling vats with iron rods nearly as tall as she was. Filtering, crystallizing, repeating, day after day, month after month for 4 years. The physical toll was devastating. Chemical burns on her hands, constant exposure to dangerous materials she didn't yet fully understand, hands cracked and bleeding, clothes permanently stained with acid, exhausted beyond measure. But here's the mental discipline that's almost superhuman. She never stopped believing in what couldn't be seen. Think about that. 4 years of brutal physical labor to find something you can't prove exists in pure form yet. Every day, doubt could creep in. Every day, the rational mind could say, this is insane. Stop. The scientific community was skeptical. Colleagues questioned the method. Some mocked the obsession. All this work for a theoretical element? Madness. And doing it alone? Financial struggles intensified. A professor's salary wasn't much. The laboratory work required equipment, materials, funding. Sleep became a luxury. Comfort became irrelevant. Winston Churchill once said, success is not final, failure is not fatal. It is the courage to continue that counts, end quote. And continue she did. But here's the obstacle that would have destroyed anyone else. After years of this back-breaking work, after processing 8 tons of material, the yield was almost microscopically small. 1/10 of a gram, 0.1 grams of radium chloride from tons of pitch blende. Imagine working for 4 years for something you could barely see. Would your mind stay disciplined? Would you continue? Most people's mind would rebel. This is impossible. I'm wasting my life. I should do something easier, something more certain. But disciplined minds don't negotiate with difficulty. They expect it. The element she finally isolated in pure form glowed in the dark. A faint, mysterious blue-green light. Beautiful and deadly. Radium. But the cost? Her health was deteriorating from radiation exposure. Something not yet understood. Constant fatigue, mysterious ailments, radiation burns. The work was literally destroying her body. Yet the mind, undisciplined? Never. The breakthrough came, but with it came new conflicts. In 1903, the Nobel Committee wanted to award the Nobel Prize in Physics only to the men involved. Our protagonist almost excluded entirely. Can you believe that? Only after her late husband insisted on her inclusion was she added. Imagine, you've sacrificed everything, your health, your comfort, years of your life, and the world wants to diminish your achievement because of your gender. But here's where mental discipline becomes defiance. She continued working. In 1911, they won a second Nobel Prize, this time in chemistry, for isolating pure radium. This time it was theirs alone. And then came World War I. Instead of staying safe in the laboratory at age 47, they saw wounded soldiers dying because battlefield doctors couldn't locate bullets and shrapnel. The solution? Mobile X-ray units. What did they do? They built them, 20 mobile radiological vehicles, equipped them and drove them to the front lines themselves. Imagine driving through war zones, setting up X-ray equipment under fire, training 150 women as X-ray technicians, installing 200 stationary radiological units at field hospitals, all while grieving, all while their body was failing from radiation exposure, all while facing a world that still doubted a woman could do such work. And then they said something that defines the disciplined mind forever. Life is not easy for any of us, but what of that? We must have perseverance and above all, confidence in ourselves, end quote. Who is this great lady? Her name? Marie Curie. The woman who trained her mind so completely that nothing, not poverty, not skepticism, not grief, not gender discrimination, not physical suffering, not even war could stop her. Let that name sink in. Marie Curie became the first woman to win a Nobel Prize in 1903. Then she became the first person, not first woman, first person, think of that, to win Nobel Prizes in 2 different sciences, namely physics in 1903 and chemistry in 1911. To this day, she remains the only person ever to win Nobel Prizes in 2 different scientific fields. Think about that. Nobody else in over a century has matched this achievement. But here's what makes her story about mental discipline not just achievement. She could have stopped after the first Nobel Prize. She could have rested on her laurels. She could have said, I've proven myself. Instead, she continued working, continued researching. During World War I, when she was around 50 years old, she developed those mobile X-ray units, Petite Curies, and drove them to the front lines herself to help wounded soldiers. 50 years old, driving to battlefields, setting up X-ray equipment, saving lives. That's not talent. That's not genius. That's a disciplined mind that never learned to quit. Her legacy? Radioactivity research that led to cancer treatments, medical imaging, nuclear energy, and countless scientific advances that save millions of lives every single year. Her notebooks are still too radioactive to touch safely. They are kept in lead-lined boxes and require protective equipment to view. Even her cookbook is radioactive. She literally poured herself into her work so completely that the physical evidence remains dangerous over a century later. She died on July 4, 1934 from aplastic anemia caused by prolonged radiation exposure. Both from her laboratory research and from her World War I X-ray work, she gave her life for her work. Literally, here's the lesson. Mental discipline isn't about being perfect. Marie Curie made mistakes. She suffered from radiation exposure because safety protocols didn't exist yet. She faced criticism and doubt throughout her entire career. But her mind never wavered from the core principle. Do the work, trust the process, never quit. Marie Curie once said, "Nothing in life is to be feared. It is only to be understood. Now is the time to understand more so that we may fear less." End quote. That's the disciplined mind in one sentence. While others fear difficulty, disciplined minds understand it and push through anyway. Marie Curie didn't wait for perfect conditions. She didn't wait for encouragement. She didn't wait for the world to believe in her. She disciplined her mind and she changed the world. Think about that. Now, let me ask you again. Is your mind disciplined? Not. Are you smart? Not. Are you talented? Not. Do you have opportunities? Is your mind disciplined? Because here's the truth. Marie Curie didn't start with advantages. She started freezing in a Paris attic with barely enough money for bread. She started with a decision that her mind would not be controlled by circumstances, by feelings, by fear, or by doubt. You have that same choice right now. Today, here's your personal challenge. Pick one thing, just one, that you've been avoiding because it's difficult. Maybe it's a project you've been putting off. Maybe it's a skill you want to learn. Maybe it's a relationship that needs work. Maybe it's your health. Maybe it's a business idea. Maybe it's healing from something painful. For the next 30 days, commit to it with Curie-level discipline. Number 1, work on it even when you don't feel like it. Number 2, continue even when you don't see immediate results. 3, persist even when people doubt you. 30 days, track it, journal it, feel your mind becoming stronger, more controlled, more disciplined. And when doubt creeps in, and it will, remember Marie Curie stirring that boiling mass with an iron rod in a freezing shed for 4 long years, processing 8 tons of material for 1/10 of a gram of radium, searching for something she couldn't yet prove existed in pure form, while grieving, while broke, while the world doubted her. If she can do that, you can do your one thing for 30 days. Before you go, if this changed how you see discipline, smash that like button. Subscribe because I'm bringing you more stories like this. Stories that don't just inspire you, but transform how you think. Subscribing costs you nothing. It is free. And most importantly, share this video. Share it with someone who's struggling, someone who's about to quit, someone who needs to know that a disciplined mind can overcome anything. Drop a comment below. What's your 30-day discipline challenge? Let's hold each other accountable. Remember, your mind is either your prison or your power. You decide. Now go train your mind.